Okay. Alright. So today we're going to basically combine what we've been doing the past couple of days. We're going to solve an equation. Now we've already solved quadratic equations back in chapter 4. We factored and then we found the zeros. So far this week we have found the zeros of a polynomial and we have factored polynomials. So now we're going to do both. We're going to factor and then solve. Zero product property is maybe a term that's unfamiliar, but the operation of it is not, or should not be, I should say. And you'll see once we go over it, you'll say, oh, okay, that's the zero product property. Wouldn't worry about whether you know that it's called the zero product property or not. So we have two steps. First step, we're going to write our equation. We're going to write our equation in this form. In other words, our equation is going to be set equal to 0. And then secondly, we're going to factor and then use the zero product property to find the roots. The roots are simply the solutions. So I guess it's really a three-step process. All right, so here's my question. Finding the real, the and or imaginary solutions of that particular polynomial. I will tell you that the way we're going to do it today, you only get real solutions. When we finish this section, the other part is when you'll see imaginary solutions. So you're not going to see any imaginary solutions today, but you will see them next time. All right, so based on what you see on the board, Gerard, what's the first thing that I need to do to help me solve this problem? When you say put x on one side, what do you mean? Subtract what? Good. Remember, I want to get my equation equal to 0. So in order to do that, I've got to subtract 3x from both sides. So that's what I'm doing. I'm setting my equation equal to 0. Okay, Dariella, do you know what to do next? No? No? Is there someone who does know? What do we do next?
Solve it.
Well, the whole process is solving it. So yes, we are going to solve it. But I need the next immediate step. Factor. Okay, what can I factor here, Nikki?
Let me go back to my notes.
And you shouldn't need your
I
notes.
know.
Just look at the problem.
I know you can factor. Oh, factor x.
Here you can factor x. I want you to be aware that sometimes you're going to be able to factor more than just x. So if these were all even numbers, for example, what would we be able to also factor out? We would also be able to factor out 2. So you'll see on the problem that you're going to do on your own, you factor out more than just the x. It does not change the solution, but it does simplify the problem somewhat. So we're going to factor out the x. Now, this immediately tells you what one of your answers is. Anybody want to hazard a guess? No. Stop again.
What's your question?
I know. A guess.
Oh, you factor out the x?
Yes.
So you would do 2 and 3, and then those things.
You're not answering my question.
Well, what was your question?
My question was, does anybody know immediately what one of the solutions to this problem is?
No.
Stop guessing.
0.
How do you know it's 0? What tells you it's 0,
There's
Jillian?
no X.
What? Lucas? Oh. Okay. I'm not going to explain it at this point, except to say that Jillian is correct. One of your solutions you now already know is 0. Okay, so the next step is to factor this. Okay? How do we do that? George. There you go. Do you know how to factor this? Nope. You should. You learned the last chapter. I don't want to ask. Anybody else?
That was rude.
Anybody else?
Multiply A times C to equal B.
That's right.
Thank you, Nikki.
Notice,
Sweet.
notice we don't have a 1 here. Since we don't have a 1 here, we can't just find the factors of C that add up to B. We have to find a different way to factor. When the A value is greater than 1, we have to go to what I call plan B, which is to find the factors and multiply A times C, find the factors of -6 that add up to -5.
That's what I was saying.
I know you were. So this is how we do it. I'm not going to go over it in any detail because, like I said, we've already done this. If you can't remember how to do this, or you don't understand what's going on here, you need to go back to your notes and look at it and review. Okay, suffice to say, this is what we end up with: 2x plus 1 and x minus
Oh wait,
3.
can you hold up for a second? And write that.
So we factor and we end up with that. No, I'm not going back. That's what I just said. That's review. That's from chapter 4. I expect you to know how to do that already. If you don't, you need to go back and review. Okay, now, does anybody know what the next step is? Solve it. Good. How do I solve it? I don't know why you're laughing. He's right. We're going to solve it.
Is that what they do?
Well, but you happen to be right. Now I expect you to be able to do it. Well, we know that the answer is solve it. How do we solve it? Again, this is review.
Foil.
No. What would happen if we foiled this, Jillian?
I don't get the original.
We go back in time. By foiling it, you would simply get back to this step.
Cut your expression in half.
No.
Factor each
No.
half.
Stop. That's how to finish factoring 2x squared minus 5x minus 3.
Combine your like term.
No. Stop guessing. If you don't know, don't say anything. Don't just throw out random math phrases. Ooh, Pythagorean theorem. Then
I knew it.
this is where we use the zero product property. Basically, the zero product property says set each factor equal to 0 and solve for x. Now we learned a shortcut for this one. What's my number that what's x minus 3? What makes x minus 3 equal to 0? What's my 0 for this?
3.
Positive 3. This one. This is something that when I said you should immediately recognize what the solution is. Whenever you factor an x out of your equation, one of your solutions is going to be 0. X is going to equal 0. Because regardless of what else it is, remember, to make the answer 0, one of my factors needs to be 0. So here, x is by itself. So x is 0. And I would note that it doesn't matter what else you factor out of the problem. 2x, 3x, 4x, 10x, 12x, 100x, whatever. As long as you're multiplying that x by itself or with another number that's multiplication, your answer is going to be 0. So that's two of the solutions. We have positive 3 and we have 0. As for this one, unfortunately, we cannot use the shortcut. So what we have to do is we have to use algebra. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our expression equal to 0 and solve for x. So we subtract 1 from both sides, we divide both sides by 2, we get x equals negative 1/10. So those are my 3 solutions. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Nobody has any questions? Everybody is a master at this? Okay, the question is, how do we get the negative 1/2? Again, because we can't do the shortcut method. The shortcut method is simply if I have x minus 3, I know my answer is 3. Can't do that here because I've got 2x. The only way you can do that is, it's actually, this is the zero product property, setting your expression equal to 0 and then solving for x. So because I got 2x plus 1, I'm going to solve for x. I subtract 1, and then I divide by 2. Okay? Any other questions?